Many years ago, in a valley forgotten by time, lay a small village surrounded by dense forests and towering mountains. Its cobblestone streets and wooden houses told stories of past generations, but none was as haunting as the legend of the young mother who lost her child. On moonless nights, when darkness seemed to swallow everything, the villagers locked themselves in their homes, fearing what might lurk outside. The tragedy occurred during an exceptionally harsh winter. Snow fell incessantly, covering everything with a white and silent blanket. It was in this icy setting that a young mother, known for her beauty and kindness, disappeared without a trace. Her son, a boy with bright eyes and an easy laugh, also vanished, leaving the village in shock. The villagers searched day and night, but found no sign of them. Despair and sadness gripped the place. Over time, stories began to circulate. Some said the young mother had been the victim of an ancient curse. Others believed that supernatural forces had taken her. What no one could deny were the sightings. A female figure, pale as the full moon, wandering the deserted streets of the village. Her eyes, two empty caverns of pain, seemed to be searching for something or someone. Her lament, an ethereal and melancholic sound, echoed on the darkest nights, filling the air with a sense of loss and despair. The villagers tried to ignore these sightings, but the fear was palpable. Children were kept indoors at nightfall, and the elders murmured prayers to ward off evil. However, the truth was that no one knew for sure what had happened or why the young mother had not found rest. Each night brought the promise of a new encounter with the inexplicable, a new glimpse of the eternal suffering of that poor soul. And so, the legend persisted, becoming part of the village's fabric. But the mystery was far from resolved. Who was this young mother? Why couldn't her spirit find peace? And, most importantly, what happened to her son? The answers seemed to be buried somewhere, waiting to be discovered. And as winter approached again, whispers of a new tragedy began to spread, foreshadowing what was to come in the next chapter of this dark story. Winter in the small village not only brought snow and biting cold, but also a mystery that still echoes on the darkest nights. During the height of the harvest, when the village was most lively and full of laughter, the young mother's son disappeared without a trace. The village went into a frenzy of searching, every nook and cranny being scoured. The dense forests around, usually so welcoming, became labyrinths of shadows and fears. The villagers, united by despair, formed search parties that looked for the boy day and night. His small footsteps, once so familiar on the cobblestone streets, were now absent, replaced by oppressive silence. The young mother, already desperate with her own tragic fate, now seemed even more ethereal, her figure a constant shadow in the searches. But no matter how hard they looked, no sign of the boy was found. The legend, already so vivid, began to take on an even more sinister form. The elders whispered that the boy had been taken by the spectral mother, who in her eternal torment wished to have her son by her side. Others, more superstitious, believed that even darker forces were at play, forces that could not be understood or fought by mere mortals. However, one thing was certain. The boy's disappearance cast an even larger shadow over the village, a shadow that seemed alive, pulsating. Each night brought new rumors. Some said they saw small footprints in the snow, only to disappear suddenly. Others claimed to hear children's laughter, mixed with the mother's lament, creating a symphony of horror that infiltrated the villagers' minds. The feeling of being watched became common, as if invisible eyes followed every movement, every sigh. As the days passed and the nights grew longer and colder, the mystery only deepened. The village, once full of life and hope, was now immersed in a sea of uncertainty and fear. What really happened to the boy? Did the spectral young mother truly find him? Or was something more sinister lurking, waiting to be revealed? And so, As the mystery of the disappearance intensified, a new direction emerged. In the heart of the village, an old and abandoned house, shrouded in rumors and legends, seemed to call those brave enough to seek answers. This house, the home of the young mother and her son, might hold the dark secrets everyone was searching for. But who would have the courage to explore its depths and face what lay hidden there? In the heart of the village stands an old house forgotten by time, its broken windows and worn walls a silent reminder of a past tragedy. The villagers avoid this house, whispering about the shadows that move through its hallways and the inexplicable sounds that emanate from within. It is said to have been the home of the young mother and her missing son, a place now alive with the echoes of their suffering. The house, covered by a thick layer of dust and cobwebs, exudes an aura of abandonment and despair. The few who dared to enter speak of an oppressive feeling, as if they were being watched by invisible eyes. Inside, old toys lie scattered across the floor, their colors faded by time, yet still emitting a sense of lost innocence. The air is heavy with the smell of mold and something more intangible, perhaps the very lament of the ghostly mother. At night, the house comes alive. Dim lights, impossible to explain, shine behind the broken windows. Villagers claim to hear children's laughter that turns into heartbreaking cries. Light footsteps echo through the empty hallways, accompanied by the distant sound of a forgotten lullaby. It is as if the house is reenacting, over and over, the last happy moments before the tragedy that turned it into a monument to suffering. Some villagers, driven by curiosity or the desire for answers, have tried to explore the house further. They discovered children's drawings on the walls, depicting a happy family, but also something darker. Indistinct, almost spectral figures that seem to watch the family from the shadows. These drawings are a disturbing mix of innocence and terror, suggesting that the boy might have glimpsed what was to come. While the house keeps its secrets, the presence of the young mother seems stronger here. Her appearances are more frequent and intense, as if she is trapped in an eternal cycle of search and loss. Every corner of the house echoes with her pain, and the mystery of what truly happened there continues to grow. The house, with its dark hallways and haunted whispers, is a labyrinth of clues that no one has completely unraveled. But perhaps the answers are closer than the villagers imagine. In the village cemetery, an unmarked grave attracts those seeking forgotten truths. It is said to be where the young mother was buried, but her spirit never found rest. What is written on the ancient, nearly illegible inscription? Could this grave reveal the secrets that the abandoned house hides? And so, the search continues, leading the bravest to explore the mysteries buried in the sacred ground of the village. As the years passed, the small village grew accustomed, though never completely, to the signs indicating the presence of the spectral young mother. Initially rare and sparse, these signs became more frequent and intense, a constant presence hovering over the community like a dense and unsettling fog. On the darkest nights, especially during snowstorms, bloody handprints began to appear on the windows of houses. These prints, dripping and frighteningly detailed, always vanished by dawn, as if they had never been there. The villagers, despite their growing fear, tried to rationalize the events, but each explanation seemed inadequate in the face of the palpable terror these manifestations brought. It wasn't just the marks on the windows that tormented the village. Old toys, worn by time, appeared in unexpected places. A wooden rocking horse, once belonging to the missing boy, was found gently rocking on the porch of an abandoned house. Porcelain dolls with sad eyes appeared on the steps of homes, their hair covered in dust, as if left there by someone in a desperate hurry. But the most disturbing were the whispers and laughter that seemed to emerge from the air. In the quietest hours of the early morning, children's laughter echoed through the empty streets, followed by soft whispers that seemed to call for the missing boy. These sounds, as real as the winds howling through the trees, filled the villagers' hearts with a silent, paralyzing terror. The visions also began to occur more frequently. Spectral silhouettes wandered among the trees or quickly passed by the windows of houses. The young mother, her translucent and sorrowful figure, was seen at the edge of the forests, always searching, always waiting. Her pain was palpable, an almost tangible presence that left a trail of melancholy wherever she went. Despite the growing fear, some villagers felt an inexplicable compulsion to uncover the truth. They believed that by understanding what was really happening, they could finally bring peace to the young mother and themselves. But the answer always seemed out of reach, a mystery shrouded in layers of darkness and despair. As the signs of the ghostly mother's presence intensified, one place in particular seemed to call to those seeking answers: the village cemetery. Among the old, moss-covered tombstones, there was an unmarked grave, marked only by an almost illegible inscription. It was said to be where the young mother was buried, but her spirit never found rest. What was written there? Could this grave reveal the secrets connecting all these supernatural manifestations? And so, the search for the truth led the bravest to the sacred ground of the cemetery, where perhaps the enigma would finally be unraveled. In the village cemetery, a place enveloped in shadows and eternal silence, lies an unmarked grave, covered by the moss of time and almost forgotten by the villagers. Only the bravest or most desperate venture among the old tombstones, drawn by a mystery that has long refused to be solved. It is said that this is where the young mother was buried, although her spirit still roams the village streets, eternally searching for her lost child. The inscription on the tombstone, almost illegible due to years of exposure to the elements, holds secrets that few have tried to unravel. On an especially cold and silent night, when the moon was hidden behind thick clouds and the village slept, a group of villagers decided to confront the mystery once and for all. Armed with lanterns and courage, they headed to the cemetery, determined to discover the truth. Upon reaching the grave, the atmosphere felt denser, as if the air was charged with energy. The lanterns illuminated the faded words on the tombstone. Here lies a mother who gave everything for the love of her son. May their souls find peace. With these words echoing in their minds, the villagers began to dig, driven by a desperate hope of finding answers. The cold, hard earth yielded to their tools, revealing an old wooden box. When they opened the box, they found a diary, its pages fragile and yellowed with time. The words written there told the story of a mother who, in a desperate act to save her son from a deadly illness, made a pact with forces beyond her understanding. She offered her own life in exchange for the boy's health, but was betrayed. Her spirit remained trapped, condemned to wander until she found her son and ensured his safety. Understanding the depth of the sacrifice and betrayal, the villagers realized that the mother's spirit needed more than just a burial to rest. They decided to perform a ritual of peace, a ceremony to honor her sacrifice and free her soul. With candles lit and prayers murmured, they implored for the spirit's release, asking that the young mother finally find the rest she so deserved. As the ceremony progressed, a gentle breeze swept through the cemetery, and the spectral figure of the mother appeared before them, her eyes once filled with pain now shining with gratitude. She approached the grave, whispering words of farewell as the presence of the boy seemed to emerge from the air, joining her in a final embrace. With a sigh of relief, both disappeared, leaving behind a peaceful silence and a sense of closure. The village, once haunted by sadness and mystery, could now breathe a sigh of relief. The young mother and her son had finally found peace, and the village, though still marked by the shadows of the past, began to heal its wounds. The cemetery, once a place of fear, became a site of remembrance and respect, a symbol of the power of love and sacrifice. And so, the story of the young mother who came to find her son ended not in horror but in quiet redemption, reminding everyone that even in the deepest darkness, the light of love can prevail.